I want to take you back for just one moment to late 2022, early 2023. For me, it was the beginning of my freshman year in high school. And kind of overnight, it seemed like a new presence had kind of materialized onto my campus and every campus around the world. But it wasn't just campuses. It was every single news headline, every newsroom, every article seemed to be talking about one thing: ChatGPT. With the discussion of ChatGPT, it became immediate of all the things that it could possibly do. The way it could write long essays and paragraphs, produce so much information, and process so much in just seconds. And it was in the hands of our students. But even I remember in the early days of using ChatGPT, it was a little rough around the edges, to say the least. Its writing lacked nuance. It didn't have much character, and it honestly felt pretty generic. But that quickly changed. ChatGPT was learning, it was growing, and it was getting better and better. And it didn't take long for ChatGPT to grow some friends. Soon, we had hundreds and thousands of AI robots, chatboxes, and programs that began to emerge. And it didn't stay isolated. It became interwoven into every single part of what we do. I'm sure when you get a call from customer service sometimes, it's not always human. Now it's some of these guys. Even when you Google search, instead of getting an article, you get a ChatGPT response. And as this program became integrated into every single part of our lives, the question shifted to places like this. What role does AI have in the hands of our students within classrooms? How do we navigate this program that is so powerful? And honestly, what I saw in those early days was not positive. It was fearful. It was people worried about so many different issues, about how AI was going to destroy education. It wasn't about optimistic and positive integration of AI into the classroom. It was about articles like these of how AI is going to cripple education. And honestly, the fear was palpable. It wasn't just media hype. It was within conversations with parents about how they're worried about their children's curriculum, with teachers who are worried how they're going to approach this new form of plagiarism, how students are going to utilize and where these ethical boundaries even lie. But the problem itself of AI within education, it wasn't necessarily something that was irrational. It made sense. AI was something that we had never seen before. The ability to process that much information, it was unique and it was scary. But I want you to pause for just one moment and take a step back. Was the problem that AI introduced into the classroom truly new? Was the issue that it brought up of having a tool that students could utilize to cheat, is that what the core of the actual issue is? Yes, we're right in stating that ChatGPT was new. It could do something that nothing else could do before. But the way that students were utilizing ChatGPT, now that was something students have been unfortunately doing for generations. Finding a way around the system, putting new ideas through. But let's be real, let's just call it for what it is: cheating. Students have become experts of it. But the core of this issue is not the shiny new tool that they utilize for this. It's not the new method. Because let's be real, there will always be a new method. We can't think of AI as this scary monster that's going to infiltrate our classroom and destroy it. They would have said the same things about a calculator into a math class. Same things about the internet into a research class. And that's not how we can approach it in the 21st century of approaching AI. So the fundamental question is, why do students cheat in the first place? Why are they compelled to do so? If the tools exist, the facilities exist, but why do students choose to cheat? And when addressing this problem, we have to understand the pressures that are leading to the behavior. Firstly, 75% of students report feeling constant and overwhelming stress related to the academics. That's just high school students. It carries over into middle school, where 50% of students feel the exact same way. Has some actual causes too, with 1/3 of all teenagers reporting being severely depressed and anxious as a result of academic pressure. That pressure leads to behavior. 70% of students said that they cheated at some point in their academic journey. Now, I know that statistic may be lower than you expected, but I also want you to remember that this is students reporting if they're cheating. How honest do we think they're being? But let's work with that 70%. From that 70%, 75% said that the reason that they cheated was due to severe academic pressure. And the prominence of it, 90% of students said that they believe that their classmates regularly engage in academic dishonesty. Not once in a while, regularly. And it's not just a few bad apples. It's a large majority. And it puts students in a situation where they feel the pressure to concede with these needs, that they may feel like they are disproportioning themselves because they're not utilizing the tools that are before them. And this is especially punctual when you consider the fact that only 2% of students ever report actually getting caught. In a study where students were asked about using AI in classrooms, 90% reported that if they had the opportunity to cheat on an online exam and they knew they would not get caught, they would. I hope you're seeing now that cheating isn't just a common thing. It's not just something that happens for kids who get expelled from schools. The unfortunate truth is that it's everywhere. But the still question is why? The even more sad statistic is from the University of Michigan that says that 80% of students base their self-worth as people on their academic success. Think about that just for 1 second. That's 4 out of every 5 students you see think that their self-worth as human beings, who they are as people, their value on this earth is based on a set of rudimentary numbers that we can measure. It's sad. We have cultivated generations of students to think that who they are as people is based on how they perform on a set of standardized exams. And it changes the way that they view education. 90% of students agree, yes, your GPA, your test scores are all important considerations and important for education. But less than 10% value education for its intrinsic value of learning. Congratulations, everybody. We have successfully created students who chase after academic accolades, after positions, after numbers, instead of actually learning. We have systematically undermined the entire value of education. It's an important issue. We're talking about the future generation, and we are telling them that the set of numbers before them is how that they are defined. And when all this is considered, it almost makes cheating make sense. You have pressure. You have a situation that's going to push you to, and you have a reason to do it. And for many people, it's not just an attack at their academics or their test scores. It's an attack at who they are. So where do we go from here? How do we approach education? What is the next steps? How do we move away from a system that is consistently failing us? We have to fundamentally rethink the way that we approach education. We cannot continue. We can't keep viewing AI as the thing that's going to infiltrate our classrooms. We have to rethink that the way that we approach things like GPAs and numbers. We have to move away from just standard tests and standard assignments for grading based on completing things, and instead focusing on valuing mastery, valuing actual education, and pushing the learning process. We cannot keep telling students and punishing them for failing. Failure is an immense part of the learning process, but instead we push them that if they fail, they get a bad grade, and as a result, have their value tainted. We have to change the way we look at education. And I have to say, I speak from a point of much privilege. I stand within a school that does a lot of the very things that I'm talking about. But the unfortunate truth is, we are one of thousands. And our impact here only makes little difference when we're pushed in a system that will continue to reward numbers instead of genuine learning. If we do not change, we will be pushed into a place where we have created robots, all around us. I don't think that's what you want for your future. And I understand the fact that the issue is much more complex than what I'm presenting. And it's not fair to not address the nuance of this issue. But my only goal here is to spark a conversation. Let's stop treating AI and whatever new technology is after that as some evil that's going to corrupt our classroom. And let's look at what is actually corrupting our classrooms. Let's look at the way that the education system is treating and valuing students and spark a conversation on how we can realign our needs, the students' needs, and the needs of our future to better align with that. We cannot blame the bot for our problem. It's much more than that. Schools need to change. And my only hope is that you walk away from here thinking about that. Thank you.